Hello everybody, welcome to lesson number 38 in our dive into the wonderful world of musical theory. And today we're going to be continuing our lesson on dotted notes. So in the last lesson I introduced him, and let's just recap what we learned there. So you can put a dot next to a note like this. And what does that do to the note? Well, it makes a note slightly longer. Now, how much longer? It adds exactly half the value of the note to the note. So what that means is if I have a dotted quarter note, for example, this is the same value as a quarter note plus half a quarter note's value, which is an eighth note. Similarly, we learned about the dotted half note or the dotted minimum, whichever one you prefer. And this one has a value of, once again, a half note plus half the value of a half note, which is a quarter note. And then we have the dotted eighth note, which has the value of an eighth note plus a half the value of an eighth note, which is a 16th note. And then finally there's the dotted whole note, which I just thought I'd introduce. This doesn't really show up much in music, but it's the same as a whole note plus a half note. There are four, really three. There one just you don't see. I doubt you'll see that one unless you're in 6/4 or something. So these are the really main three ones which occur in music, and you'll see them everywhere. And now let's try to understand a bit more. So we understood in theory what they actually are, what they mean. Now let's understand a bit more in practice how to count them out or whatever. Right? Now I'm not giving, just like with any. I never say that a quarter note is one count. But a lot of people like to do this. Half notes two counts and a whole notes four counts. Saying it like this is incorrect. A note does not correspond to any number of counts. A note has a value, and then the time signature tells you how many counts each note is. But really, so far in a lot of music, what you play, most time signature is simple, as in it has a bottom number of four. So you take 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, and a couple of others, right? Any which has the bottom number 4, that system works, right? So we'll operate under that system, but maybe at the end of the video I'll do one more with a different time signature, like 2 once, to give a better example of how it's worth that value but not necessarily those number counts. Anyways, that being said, let's get into it. So let's take a 4/4 example for now, and let's include some dotted crotchets in my rhythm. They all dotted crotches, by the way. This is not parenting here. Those are minimums. I mean, oh, I'm sorry, I'm slipping into European language. Sorry. As I said, these notes are called different things in British language. But point being, quarter note, half note, half note. This is a quarter note. I did mention all the European names in the video about notes. So if you're curious, you can go see that video. Okay, simple for while. I encourage you to pause the video and try to count it out. Remember, a dotted crotchet is dotted quarter note is the same value as a quarter note plus an eighth note. Okay, remember that. Also remember the small. That's not enough for you. Remember the small example I did last lesson. And I want you to pause the video and try to grab this rhythm out. When you come back, we'll do it together. And I'm assuming you've done that. And now let's try to do it together. So since there's a bunch of eighth notes everywhere, I will count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and to make things simpler for myself, remember each 1 and each and is worth half a count. That's how the 1 and 2 and 3 system works. And each quarter note is worth a count, a half note is worth 2 counts because the bottom number is 4 in this time signature. So just keeping that in mind, let's try to count it out now. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 without me counting once. and that's it. See, did you see how interesting you can get with the rhythms with dun dun? In fact, Happy Birthday has quite a few of these rhythms. Dun 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 dun. So it's long and then very short, right? And that's this kind of a rhythm. Happy Birthday has it. That's why I haven't covered it in one of my videos so far. Let's look at another rhythm. Let's look at another. I mean, yeah, rhythm at this point here. Hmm. I'm actually not sure how this will sound because I'm making it pretty fast and not thinking about it. But it's a rhythm, so we should still be able to count it out. And as you can see, I've introduced a dotted minimum then, and trust me, a dotted minimum is very important in 3/4, and I'll explain why. So as you know, we can't add a whole note in a bar in 3/4 at all. Why? Because a whole note is the same as 4/4 notes, right? And this problem is there's only 3 counts per bar, and each one of those worth a quarter note. That means each bar can have a maximum, has to have not maximum, has to have the total value of all notes must be the same as 3/4 notes. So you can't have a whole note in a 3/4 time signature. You just can't. And um and so what note fills an entire bar? Like it just fills an entire bar, just like a whole note doesn't 4/4. Well, that's actually a dotted half note, a dotted half note, and that's why it's very important 3/4 time signature. So if you listen to music in the 3/4 time signature, you'll find a lot of dotted half notes usually, because it's like a substitute for whole note. Anyways, let's try to count out this rhythm. I encourage you to try first, and I'm just going to pause the video and done that, and now I'll do it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Oh, sorry about that. It's 3/4. I am going over senile. You have my deepest apologies. So there's a bunch of eighth notes everywhere, right? Well, in the first bar mainly, and there are 3 counts per bar. That's what 3/4 means. And now quarter note equal to 1 count, half note equal to 2 count. We know that stuff. So I'm going to count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, only that. I said 4 because I was slightly senile. I have my apologies. So let's try. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3. And it's out. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. End this out, please, bhai. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Once again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. That be counting? Will that be counting? Will that be counting? Once again. Yeah. This is actually quite a tricky rhythm to count on the pad, on the back if you were able to do it. Let's try rhythm in 2/4. I'm using dotted crotchets so much just because you find them the most. In fact, maybe I should do a couple more where I don't use dotted crotchets and I use some other notes. We'll see. Let me switch it up a bit. Again, I don't know how this rhythm is going to turn out, but we'll just continue writing it. Let's try. Let's see how this turns out. Once again, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I do encourage you to pause the video and try it yourself. And now I will do it. Once with counting, And because there are eighth notes everywhere, I'm gonna count this as 1 and 2 and once again 1 and 2 and. Alright, let's go for it. Ready? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and once again 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and without me counting. Once again. That's all there is to it. Let me include now. Let me try to include. Let me do a more complicated rhythm with some more. So now here something which I don't feel like introducing right now, but when we have a dotted eighth note, right, and you want to add a 16th note after it, you do not write it like this. Once again, why? Because the flags are back to back. It looks really weird. Why would you do that? So you don't do that. You just join it, but the second line, which belongs to the 16th note, only goes halfway like this. And it's a really weird system, and I encourage you to just sort of try to memorize it here and now. So whenever you have a dotted eighth note, and you want to have a 16th note right after it, you do it like this, not like that. Okay. Anyways, let's write the rest of this rhythm. Okay, that's about it. Alright, that's quite repetitive, but I'm not sure exactly how it sounds well. I just wrote it. And for now, but I encourage you to pause the video, try it yourself, and try to figure out because this is new. You're not an upload most so far. I encourage you to try to do it yourself, and then let's see what you come up with. Okay, now I'm gonna do it, and let's see what we have. So I'm gonna actually count this as 1E and a 2E and a 3. No, this is two counts per parts. 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a. Why? Why? Because there's well the 16th note, and when you want to count, just like how I want to count when I want to count a dotted quad note effectively, I use 1 and 2 and 3 and when I want to count a dotted eighth note effectively, it's best to use 1E and a 2E and a. So let's do it. 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and once again 1E and a 2E and 1E and a 2E and 1E and 1E and 1E and 2E and I repeated 1E and in the middle for some reason. Here my apologies. Once without me counting. Great. So that was this rhythm. Lovely. Alright. Now what we're going to have to move on and do is I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, so I will probably be introducing some more dotted rhythms in the future. And these dotted notes, okay, how about one more rhythm and then we'll move on to this in a 2-2 time thing just to demonstrate something. Okay, so now we've got a 4-4 rhythm. This is quite a common rhythm in a lot of pop songs nowadays. And I've used, like the dotted crochet in conjunction with an eighth note a lot, but it's not necessary at all. So let's see. Once again, quite repetitive but interesting rhythm. I've used lots of pop songs. And let's figure out what it is. So I encourage you to pause the video, think about it, try to grab it out, and then come back, and then I'll do it. I'm assuming you've done that. Now I'm going to. So since there are eighth notes, and because it is indeed. Oh, I'm sorry, I seem to have miswritten something here. This is not an eighth note. This is a quarter note. Please forgive me. Quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. See, quarter note, quarter note. Just want to make that clear. Okay, next. Sorry. Now I'll do it. Since there is notes everywhere, I'm going to count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Ready? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And also because I said counting it like that is beneficial when I want to count dotted crochets. Dotted quarter notes, whichever terminology you prefer. So let's start. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and oh shit. Okay, edit out the part where I wrote this rhythm all at all. Like edit out the part where I wrote this rhythm. I have to watch this video. I can't remember all the editing out of this video. Here what happened if I try complex, not complex, this is broken up. Shit, how could I make a mistake? Please edit this out, please. Okay, let's just do one more rhythm. This is one that's used in tons of pop songs, so I'm pretty sure that you will recognize it quite right off the bat, so to speak. It's quite repetitive with the one I'm writing it here, but it's an interesting rhythm nonetheless. Okay, let's try that. I encourage you to pause the video, try to count this out yourself, and now I'm going to do it. So ready? I'm gonna count this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and because it's 4 and there's a bunch of eighth notes. No, there's no eighth notes, but there are dotted crochets. Yeah, so dotted crochets or dotted quarter notes, whichever terminology you prefer. It's beneficial to count in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with them because they're equal to the value of a quarter note plus an eighth note. And as you can see, it was very beneficial to count like that in all the other rhythms. So let's just check. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 once again without me counting. And that's all that there is to it. Quite an interesting, like if you remember the song that was a hit a few years back, Shape of You, or this is used everywhere. Tuck, 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 everywhere. Trust me, you'll hear it in the background of really every pop song. It's an interesting rhythm, right? And makes use of dotted crochets, so that's why these are as I said, these allow you to write lots of interesting rhythms. Anyway, I thought I'd get into how to count dotted notes. In case you're confused about the dotted minimum because I didn't really or dotted half note because I didn't really go into too much detail into it. This is just what in the 4/4 time signature what 3 counts because it's 2 counts plus 1 count equals 3 counts and this is equal to 3/4 counts because half a count in a 4/4 time signature please or in a time signature which has 4 on the bottom, please keep this in mind. Half plus a quarter is 3/4. And just to show you that this is not definitive, that is just in a 4/4 time signature, I'm going to now do one last rhythm in a 2/2. This is what I plan to do. So 1 and 2/2 time signature, right? Now let's figure out what this means. So now what happens when I include a rhythm like this? Well, it's a similar rhythm, just the counting style is going to be a bit different. Remember, so in this one the entire situation changes. Why? I don't mean to confuse you, but if you're not familiar with time signatures properly, I encourage you to go watch the videos again. But in this time signature, the situation is entirely different. Why? Because when you have 2 in the bottom number like this, a half note is worth 1 count. That's what it means, having 2 in the bottom. Having 2 in the bottom means that a half note is 1 count. So by this logic, a quarter note is equal to half a count, an eighth note is equal to a quarter count, and a whole note is equal to 2 counts, right? So just check I was counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for when I had eighth notes in the 4/4, I count 1 and 2, and in this case 1 and 2 and whenever I have a crotchet, because it was half a count now. And if I have something in the order of an eighth note, like here, I'm going to count it as 1 E and a 2 E and a. So it's just about how you count. The flow of this music, how it is different from 4/4. The flow of this music is not 1 2 3 4. It's 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's just that each one of those counts is now worth a half note. So as you can see, this entire system changed whenever I brought a completely new time signature. So just try to count this out once, because it's important that you learn to do quarter notes in some unfamiliar circumstances. So once again, I'll be using 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 1E and a 2E and remember, in this one only, because it has a bottom number of 2, I'm going to count a quarter note as half a count, and an eighth note as 1/4 of a count, and a half note as 1 count, and a whole note as 2 counts, because the half note is 1 count now. But that's dictated by the time signature. This is a very important concept to keep in mind. So if you're not clear with this, I encourage you to go watch previous videos. Okay, so let's try doing this. Ready? So it's going to be 1E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and 1E and a 2. So with counting is going to be 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a. Once again, 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a, sorry, once again, 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a. As you can see, the counting system changes a bit whenever I bring in a new denominator here, because the number of counts each note corresponds to also changes. Anyway, I just thought I'd make sure that you don't permanently think of this as, oh, 3/4 counts, so this is 3 counts, because it's not always the case. Anyway, that being said, thank you so much for watching this lesson, and I will see you next one. Hopefully you took something valuable and you enjoyed this lesson a bit, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.